fellow sufferers. I thought my typing would be better today, but I'm taking some time to warm up clearly. And having confidence. Okay, let's not waste any time. This is chapter 2 of Charles Dickens' Great Expectations, retyping it. Let's just go straight in. My sister brought up by hand. So again, just like in the first chapter, we know our narrator Pip, even if he's going to talk about, corporal punishment at home, no matter what the themes are, we know our narrator Pip is going to not indulge in excessive self-pity and have a bit of lightness and levity. Speaking of levity, she was not off every day of her life. I think it's very good when you're characterizing someone to give them a uniform or a look that is that's always their look. And here her apron is this protective armor, and very suitable for a blacksmith's wife. Joe's corner. So we see that there's a bit of summary before we get into our scene, and we go from the churchyard to the house. The interstitial moment of running home has just been skipped over. So, I think the modern conventions just go scene, scene, scene. But it's really helpful to have a little bit of summary. Who is Mrs. Joe? Who is Joe? What's the house like? Because we already have the enigma active of this convict who we met in chapter 1 emerging from the graves. So when you have an active enigma, you've built yourself some time to do some exposition. Now we get into scene though. Mrs. Joe with my tickled frame. So even here, contemplating a beating, our narrator Pip has that lightheartedness and levity, which makes him so likable. I also like this combination of a sensory detail, like touch of twisting the button round and round, and also a bit of telling us directly the emotional content looked in Great Depression at the fire. So you can combine feeling with sensory detail. She's out, Pip. This is another technique I've noticed, especially with fires. Refer to it multiple times. So Pip enters Joe Gargery's by the fire, then Pip looks at the fire, then Joe Gargery looks at the fire. It is repetition, but it has the effect of sort of warming the room. So it's a very, if you want to create that continuous environment, keep referring to something, rain, for example. I suppose in the future, I'm hoping people fall asleep to these videos and the typos and the story and everything will be secondary to the sort of sound of the typing. Squally times. Squally being, I feel like in these older books we have so much more nautical language and nautical terminology. So that's where squally comes from sudden waves. My sister into a great depth of water. I like this, you create a secondary goal sequence. So there's a larger goal sequence of getting all the food and the file to his dreadful acquaintance. But within that, you create a more immediate goal sequence. How do I discreetly hide this hunk of bread and butter? And it was made the more difficult admiration now and then. You really get a sense of how companionable Pip and his sister's husband are. They have a very sweet relationship. Why don't I just pause here, have a sip of tea, so that I stop making all these typos. Too evident to escape my sister's observation. So this is a wonderful dilation of time where Pip has to steal this bread, and Joe, in between 2 bites, he cannot believe little Pip has finished his entire hunk of bread. But it's comedic, but it's also tense because, we know that he needs to steal. We know that there's this man waiting in the marshes who is genuinely quite scary for this young boy. What's the matter now? Dead. So obviously this is a lovely little funny slang term. Bolt means to eat something very fast, probably without chewing. And it reminds me of an Indian sort of slang term that we would use in boarding school and then after as well, to eat a lot of food. And it's a South Indian thing, belted, like I belted that. And it's both like fast, eating something fast, but also the idea of undoing your belt so you can make more room. So it's funny to see bolted and belted. Just an aside. It's nastiness. There are so many medicines like this where we believe its effectiveness is inversely proportional to its taste. And I looked this up earlier. Tar water is made from, I think, pine tar, so it must be quite nasty. At the best of times, I think Dickens does a lot of good physical comedy, which is obviously underrated and something to incorporate more of. Then, as the marsh wind of tomorrow. So I think there's a nice contrast between Pip's language and his childlike thinking. His language is very mature, but his thinking remains very childlike, petrified of these 2 men. So that's a nice contrast. If ever any... I will have some tea, try and get administering the tea to get rid of all these typos. I thought with this being the second stream I'd have fewer, but it feels like I have more. Bird. Pip. That's so sweet. They're trying to have a conversation with each other just through mouthing the words. It really shows how close they are with each other. Joe Gargery must be a very nice man to raise his wife's younger brother at a time of, I'm sure, economic difficulty. There was a convict off last night. Questioner he is. Ask no questions. And you'll be told no lies. I do love this idiom, ask no questions and you'll be told no lies. I enjoy it. I think there's a realpolitik to it. It was not very funny to see this phrase, quiet desperation, in this context, because I believe it was Graham Greene who said, that Englishmen live lives of quiet desperation. So perhaps he got it from here. I think it was Graham Greene. I'll have to ask my dad. He's the one who told me that. He may be watching this. He can tell me. It was too much young under terror. So true. So true. Also, this is again that temporal control. We know that this is Pip in first person talking about a time in the distant past. No matter how unreasoned me at every turn, childhood is fraught and filled with impingements and is a low agency state where we don't have much power. I definitely remember one night just being absolutely petrified because I think the next day I was going to go into the headmaster's office, and I knew that they were going to call me in, and I thought I was going to be expelled and my whole life ruined, and I just didn't sleep a wink that night. I was genuinely in mortal terror, and I remember praying to God just to save me. And it was that's the terror of the young. I am afraid. And so ends chapter 2, entirely taking place in the Gargery home. So Marsh, Gargery home, now back to the Marshes. We've learned a lot about Pip's home situation, living with his sister and her kind husband, but also his execution of a goal sequence. Need to steal this file, need to steal this food for the convict. And we get a sense of his psychological state. I mean, he's petrified of this conflict, of this convict, mortal terror. So yeah, I mean, like I said, this project, it doesn't matter if I have 0 viewers. I mean, I'm really enjoying it. I'm gonna finish this book, possibly this year, more likely by the end of next year. But it's just very calming for me. And I learn a lot, and thank you for joining me. And thank you, the Office of Modern Composition, for your support, and would appreciate any support from anyone to keep doing it. But if not, I'll see you future Tuesdays and Thursdays. And thanks for sticking around and checking this out. All right, enough from me. Good night, everyone.